It is Tuesday, September 8th, 2020, and this is your China Update. We have 4 pieces of information to cover today, including how China deals with worse floods with less loss. Next, courtesy of the Epic Times, Locust, rodents, floods, destroy crops in China's Yunnan province. Also, courtesy of Forbes, China has the world's largest navy, Pentagon warns. We also have some new photos and some new footage. Let's hop into it. And a brief caveat before today's video. While researching for these reports, I come across information from various sources. Just because I decide to include a piece of information doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with it. I like to let you decide for yourself. Moving on. And this comes courtesy of CGTN, how China deals with worse floods with less loss. This year's disaster was a grim reminder of the 1998 floods on the Yangtze River that claimed more than 1,500 lives and caused direct economic losses of 255 billion yuan, about 37.3 billion US dollars. In fact, this year's floods have been even worse. Over a comparable period, precipitation in most parts of the Yangtze River basin was 100 millimeters more than 1998, with some areas receiving up to 800 millimeters more. Wei Qi, an associate professor at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, said in 1998 there were 8 flood crests in 2 months until it reached its peak in mid-August. But the first flood crest of 2020, which was in early July, pushed the flood channels in the lower reaches of the Yangtze to their limit and caused heavy floods immediately. Although this year's floods were actually heavier, they caused fewer casualties and less economic losses thanks to technology. After the 1998 floods, China boosted investments in large-scale water conservation projects along the Yangtze River and its tributaries, the best known being the Three Gorges Dam. The storage capacity of the Three Gorges Reservoir is more than 22 billion cubic meters. The Cascade Hydro power stations in the upper reaches have helped to change the overall situation of flood control in this region. Levees along the Yangtze and its lakes have been updated, now 2 meters higher than the highest recorded water levels in history. The Yangtze River Basin is now one of the most populated and developed regions in the world. Over the last few years, China has seen increasing urbanization from 33.4% in 1998 to over 60% today. And this comes courtesy of the Epic Times. Locust, rodents, floods destroy crops in China's Yunnan province. Southern China has suffered the worst natural disasters in decades this year. Farmers in Yunnan province said that in addition to the floods, the ongoing locust plague and rodent infestation have damaged nearly all the crops. According to a report by the South China Morning Post on August 30th, the swarms of yellow spine bamboo locust crossed the border in late June and have since made their way northwards. As of August 17th, 11 counties in the province had been hit with 106 square kilometers affected. According to a July 10th Xinhua report, Chinese experts claim that the locust plague in the southern region of China is under control. Pu'er City in southern Yunnan was reported to have had more than 28 square miles, that's 73 square kilometers, of farming areas covered by invading locusts by the evening of July 9th. Mrs. Wang from Kangping Township, Jiangcheng County, told the publication on August 30th that the locust had invaded her hometown last month. Mrs. Wang grows tea, corn, and nuts. In addition to the locust plague this year, rodent infestation has also caused great loss in her field. There are also a lot of rodents. The damage is serious. The corn is all earless and all eaten up. When asked if authorities have provided any aid to the farmers, Miss Wang said there's no sign of it. Haven't heard anything about the relief. Don't know what to do. Too much has been eaten by the locust. It's been reported to the authorities, but the relief, I don't have a clue. She sighed and said, "This year the crops have suffered too much. The floods, the locusts, and the rodents." Thank you for watching this video. If you're finding it informative, please consider giving the channel a subscribe. And this comes courtesy of Forbes. China has the world's largest navy, and it's getting better, Pentagon warns. The People's Republic of China has the largest navy in the world, with an overall battle force of approximately 350 ships and submarines, states the U.S. Department of Defense's 2020 annual report to Congress on Chinese military power. In comparison, the U.S. Navy's battle force is approximately 293 ships as of early 2020. However, that statistic is somewhat misleading. While the People's Liberation Army Navy has more warships than the U.S. Navy, the American fleet is ahead in tonnage due to having larger warships, including 11 aircraft carriers that weigh in at 100,000 tons apiece. But what happens when Chinese naval quantity is paired with technological quality? That prospect alarms Pentagon planners. The PLAN is a far cry from its Cold War days, when it was a poor cousin to a massive ground army. China's fixation to forcibly reunify Taiwan with the mainland and its determination to replace the U.S. as the hegemon of the Western Pacific had led Beijing to spend vast amounts of time and money to improve the quality of its navy. China's navy is an increasingly modern and flexible force that has focused on replacing previous generations of platforms with limited capabilities in favor of larger, modern, multi-role combatants, the report says. China's growing fleet of aircraft carriers has garnered the most attention. The PLAN has one decrepit ex-Soviet carrier, a newly commissioned carrier that is the first built in China, and a third carrier under construction, and plans to build an additional 4 or more vessels. In 2019, China launched its first Yushin-class large amphibious assault ship, which is not good news for Taiwan. China is also building a variety of support vessels, including oilers, intelligence collection ships, and even China's first polar icebreaker. However, there is a lot more to a navy's power than the number of ships or missiles. The U.S. Navy has more than a century of reliably operating in distant waters, including carrier flight operations and conducting amphibious operations. For all its growing technological sophistication, China's Navy simply lacks experience in these matters. And our last piece of information is a series of interesting tweets. And I think that's a good place to wrap up today's video. I hope that you found it informative, and check back soon for more content.